To start this off, I'm going to be separating ranks into categories. It might be different from other people's, so keep that in mind. If you're below Garyu, you're in the beginner ranks. From Garyu to Battle Ruler or Fujin is intermediate. Advanced is Fujin or Raijin to Tekken King. And then Elite is Tekken Emperor and up. The reason why it's either or for ranks like Battle Ruler, Fujin, and Raijin is because I believe skill level is relatively close in these ranks and can be interchangeable. Now onto the main point of this video. I don't think anyone has explicitly stated how frustratingly chaotic this game can be. I'm not talking about how hard it is to learn, I'm talking about specific playstyles and how hard it is to adjust in the intermediate and advanced rank ranges. So what do I mean about playstyles and adjusting? I'm talking about how it's difficult applying knowledge you've been learning and labbing in actual matches where you're almost forced to play a certain way. So in the background, I'm already showing it, but I'm going to show gameplay while I was ranking up June to show how drastic the playstyles in the pool can be. So why does this make Tekken exponentially more difficult? It's because of how fast you have to adjust to play against different people. You could have 5 people in a row who like to be super aggressive, always in your face, and use low frame startup moves. Then the next game, you could have a very technical player who uses frame advantages, movement, Oki setups, and whiff punishes effectively. But because of your previous 5 matches, you're probably accustomed to a certain playstyle yourself, so you may or may not struggle because this also depends on your opponent. Everyone has a certain playstyle they struggle with, and the person you're against now could struggle with yours, or you're going to struggle against them. Basically, everyone has a playstyle that they're going to have some difficulty with, and depending on how fast you can adapt, directly correlates on how well you can rank up. This is why you might feel stuck in these ranks, because the diversity of playstyles are very prevalent here. This is also the main cause of frustration in Tekken, in my opinion, because it's like an endless loop and it feels like RNG sometimes. Everything I just said also makes it to where you can actually lose against a player that is technically worse than you. To explain, like the previous example, you essentially just flip it around. You play against 5 players who play well overall, then you go against someone who basically defies all knowledge you just gained by spamming even when they're super minus and doing very unconventional things. By all logic, you might say you're worse as a player because you lost. However, this isn't true. The biggest example of this, if you haven't already seen it, is Mainman playing against a special style Jin. Mainman, by all means, is the better player, but he almost loses to a beginner using special style. This just proves you can get pretty far in Tekken by honestly just having a game plan of random bullshit go. And because this is one of the few games where a player can beat you even when they're technically worse than you, it adds to the frustration. I can't tell you how many times I have lost in this game because of how diverse the player pool is. One match you could have a technical player, next match you have someone who spams. Then the next match you could have a very defensive player. You get the point. Unfortunately, because of this, the reason many people are stuck in the intermediate and advanced ranks, which includes me, is due to building up bad habits because of this pool. For instance, you're against someone who spams, and you find that spamming somewhat and playing hyper-aggressive works against this person. This will eventually bleed into a bad habit, and you might suddenly find yourself playing like this against the wrong type of player. It's the same for being super defensive, super aggressive, or playing for poke. You as the player need to understand what the right playstyle is to play against every single person you go against. Sometimes it's a combination of playstyles, other times you only need one. And how you get really close matches in this game is because both players are actively adapting to each other, which is peak Tekken in my opinion. Most times when you dominate or get dominated, it's due to two things: matchup knowledge and how well you can adapt during the match. Matchup knowledge is fairly simple to practice, in my opinion. How well you can adapt is not simple at all. You need to learn how to essentially flip certain switches off and on when playing online, and it's 100% easier said than done. Quickly adapting to your opponent in these ranks is something I don't see enough people talking about. For those in these ranks sticking with Tekken and learning its in and outs, I commend you because learning this game is super hard. For those who are thinking about getting back into Tekken or you're a beginner, just know that in the intermediate and advanced ranks, how fast you can adjust becomes one of the most important aspects on getting better in this game.